Hi, I'm LDS in Medium, and thank you so much for tuning in today. I want to try to bring religion and spirituality closer together, and this is what this pod is all about. I will talk about my own thoughts and feelings as I am both LDS and have spiritual gifts, something that I've had my whole life, but I always thought that it was hard to combine these gifts with my religion. This has torn me into two directions, and I have talked to many people who feel the same way. I can't choose not to have my spiritual gifts, but I can choose how I use them. And I always want to use them for good and to help others. I believe my heavenly parents gave them to me for a reason. So, this is me. Join my quest for knowledge.
December 23rd. Today we're going to talk about Christ giving his life for us. John 15, verse 13, 14 and 15. Greater love hath no man than this, that a man lay down his life for his friends. Ye are my friends, if you do whatsoever I command you. I have called you friends. So we are his friends, if we do what he commandeth us, with the emphasis on if. He might call me friend, but to me, he is my brother. This is a poem that I wrote in December 1989, and I translated it to English by Google Translate. The mirror that burst. What really happened? Everything became so strange the day my brother came home. I remember that day. My father came to me. He picked me up on his lap. His voice was quiet and soft. Today, my beloved child, is when your brother is coming home. I looked up at Father's face. I saw tears of joy and happiness. He hugged me, hard, hard, long, long. Come, he said. He took my hand and we walked away together. He took me to a hole and said, look. And I saw a mountain with many people. I looked at Father and said, there are so many people. Who is my brother? Look at the top. I looked and saw a man on a cross. His eyes were beautiful and filled with tears. He wept for those beneath him. Father slowly said, it's your brother. Your oldest brother. But Father, I said, why are they so mean to him? Father pressed my hand and said with grief in his voice, it was a necessary sacrifice. If this did not happen, you, my child, would not be able to come home again. Side by side, hand in hand, we stood looking at my brother, my beloved brother who died for me. I looked at Father. I saw the pride in his eyes as he stood watching my brother come. I then wished that Father would stand and look at me just as proudly when I come home again. I feel a little sad for Pilate. He tried, but not enough. We can read in Luke chapter 23. Pilate, therefore, willing to release Jesus, spake again to them. But they cried, saying, crucify him, crucify him. And he said unto them the third time, why? What evil hath he done? I have found no cause of death in him. I will therefore chastise him and let him go. And they were instant with loud voices, requiring that he might be crucified. And the voice of them and of the chief priests prevailed. And Pilate gave sentence that it should be as they required. Looking through my inspirational binder, I realized I wrote a poem of that too. But I'll save that for another time. There are so many things to talk about, but looking through the gospel, I wanted to focus on the absolute last moments. If you read in John chapter 19, verse 26 and forward. When Jesus therefore saw his mother and the disciples standing by, whom he loved, he said unto his mother, Woman, behold thy son. Then said to the disciple, Behold thy mother. And from that hour that disciple took her unto his own home. After this, Jesus, knowing that all things were now accomplished, that the scriptures might be fulfilled, said, I thirst. Now there was a vessel full of vinegar, and they filled a sponge with vinegar, and put it to his mouth. When Jesus therefore had received the vinegar, he said, It is finished, and he bowed his head and gave up the ghost. It was important for Jesus to feel that Mary was taken care of, which is why he took the time whilst in pain, hanging on the cross, to address Mary and his disciple, that they now were family, a mother and a son. In all the Gospels they mention the vinegar. Let's look at the others too. Matthew 27. And about the 9th hour Jesus cried with a loud voice, saying, Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani. That is to say, my God, why hast thou forsaken me? How much pain and anguish was he in at that point? But he had the power. He was the living Son of God, and he got to choose when he would die. 47. Some of them that stood there, when they heard that, they said, This man calleth for Eliah. And straightway one of them ran and took a sponge and filled it with the vinegar, and put it to the reed, and gave him to drink. The rest said, Let be, let us see whether Eliah will come to save him. Here comes the vinegar again, and them not knowing what Eli means, but thinking that he was calling for the prophet Eliah. Jesus, when he had cried again with a loud voice, yielded up the ghost. Mark 15 is almost exactly the same as Matthew, verse 34 and forward. And at the 9th hour Jesus cried with a loud voice, saying, Eloi, Eloi, lama sabachthani, which is being interpreted, my God, why hast thou forsaken me? And some of them that stood by, when they heard it, said, Behold, he calleth Eliah. And one ran and filled a sponge full of vinegar, and put it on a reed, and gave him to drink, saying, Let alone, let us see whether Eliah will come to take him down. And Jesus cried with a loud voice, and gave up the ghost. We read in Luke 23, verse 34. Then said Jesus, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. And they parted his raiment, and cast lots. And the people stood beholding, and the rulers also with them derided him, saying, He saved others, let him save himself, if he be the Christ, chosen of God. And the soldiers also mocked him, coming to him and offering him vinegar, and saying, If thou be the King of Jews, save thyself. Let's jump to verse 42. And he said unto Jesus, Lord, remember me when thou comest into thy kingdom. And Jesus said unto him, Verily I say unto thee, today shalt thou be with me in paradise. And it was about the 6th hour, and there was a darkness over all the earth until the 9th hour. And the sun was darkened, and the veil of the temple was rent in the midst. And when Jesus had cried with a loud voice, he said, Father, into thy hands I commend my spirit. And having said thus, he gave up the ghost. So Matthew and Mark describe the moments almost identical. Did they stand at the same place, seeing the same? Could that be a reason? Maybe John and Luke stood at other points, as they focused on slightly other things. One thing that I took out but left in Luke was the time factor. From the 6th to the 9th hour there was darkness all over the earth, and shortly after that he gave up his breath. I believe there was some significance to that time period, what happened during those hours of darkness, because I feel there is a significance in the mentioning of the darkness. You can look into that in Luke 23:44, Matt 27:45, or Mark 15:33. And the sponge of vinegar that they gave him seemed to be the cue that it was finally over. John 19:29, Mark 15:36, Matt 27:48. What are your thoughts listening to this? Do you have any memories resting inside of you? Was I truly there? Did I actually witness this? I pray that his sacrifice wasn't in vain. What do you do every day to show your love for your Savior? Be the light, share the light, spread the light, shine.
This is my journey. Thank you so much for keeping me company today. Please download, like, share, and subscribe, and help spread the light and spread the word to expand our community. Let's bring more love, peace, and unity to this world. Take care of yourself and your loved ones. Always be grateful, kind, and loving. Be brave and remember to step out of your comfort zone and smile. If you support us on Patreon, you will get access to our meditations and extra materials so you can download them as MP3. Also, we now have a Facebook group, which you can access from our Facebook community. Please answer the questions as you apply to participate. It will be a safe haven where we can keep discussing religion and spirituality, our spiritual gifts, and self-development. Remember, One person can make a difference, but together we can change the world.